All right, today we're jumping into a pretty provocative idea, one that kind of shakes up the very way we think about learning. It's really a showdown between the old school way of reading deeply and the modern world's obsession with speed and efficiency. So let's get right into it. So let me just kick things off with a question that might make you a little uncomfortable. Is sitting down and reading a book from cover to cover just too slow for the world we live in now? That's the big, controversial question our source material is throwing out there. Okay, to really get why this idea is so appealing to some people, we have to start with a problem that I think we all feel. It's that feeling of information overload. You know, the sense that there's just an impossible amount of stuff to learn and you can never, ever catch up. Look, a lot of us really want to get smart, right? We want to learn, we want to grow, but then you look at this endless mountain of books and articles and data, and it's just overwhelming. I mean, how is any one person supposed to climb that? This feeling, this tension is really the launchpad for this whole conversation. So, before we dive into the proposed shortcut, let's take a quick look at the path we all know. You know, the traditional way. Just cracking open a book and reading it, first page to last. Now, the source material uses some, let's just say, memorable language for this. It introduces this term NPC reader. And I want to be super clear here. This is the source's term. It's what they call someone who reads a book the conventional way, without any special tricks for speed or for ripping out the key ideas. And the argument isn't that this way of reading is bad. Not at all. It's more that it's just inefficient. They frame it as this noble, maybe even beautiful journey through a book. But ultimately, it's not the fastest tool in the shed if your only goal is to acquire knowledge quickly. So what does this inefficiency actually look like? Let's put some numbers on it to make it real. Think about a typical nonfiction book, something with some real meat on its bones. You're probably looking at something around, say, 400 pages. And those 400 pages? Well, they translate into a serious chunk of your time. For most of us, that's going to be at least 10 hours of focused reading. 10 plus hours. Remember that number because it's going to be really important in a second. Okay, so if the traditional path is a 10-hour plus commitment, what's the alternative? Well, this is what the source calls the shortcut, the path of condensed knowledge. And the process they lay out is actually pretty simple. First, you pick your book. Second, you run it through some kind of tool that's designed to boil it down. And third, you just absorb the core ideas, the absolute essentials. You gotta love the language here. The whole point is to pull out what the source calls the dirty details. By that, they mean the actionable, nitty-gritty insights and the main arguments, without having to wade through all the stories and fluff. It's all about getting straight to the good stuff. And this is where we get to the most dramatic claim of the whole argument. The source frames this as a huge competitive advantage, basically running laps around everyone else. This comparison chart really tells the whole story, doesn't it? On one side, you have traditional reading, a high time investment, remember those 10 plus hours, a focus on the full text and all its nuances, and what they call low efficiency. But then on the condensed knowledge side, the time plummets to just 1 or 2 hours. The focus is laser sharp on those key ideas and, well, the efficiency is rated as high. The difference is just massive. And here it is, in their own words. The claim is that by using this method, you are, quote, effectively running laps around people who actually sit and read the whole thing. So this reframes learning. It's not just about personal growth anymore. Suddenly, it's a race. But all of this talk about shortcuts and efficiency and running laps, it forces you to take a step back and ask a way bigger, more fundamental question. What do we actually mean when we talk about knowledge? What is it really? And it really boils down to two completely different philosophies, doesn't it? On one hand, maybe the goal is to experience the author's full journey, to see how they build their argument piece by piece. Or is the goal just to acquire the key insights as fast as humanly possible, like you're grabbing items off a conveyor belt? And this is where it gets really interesting, because this idea doesn't just challenge our habits, it challenges our very identity as learners. I mean, think about it. Who's more well-read? The person who has absorbed the key takeaways from 50 bucks, or the person who has deeply, slowly, and carefully read just 5? Suddenly, that whole definition is up for grabs. So, at the end of the day, we're left with this question. In your own life, in your own quest for knowledge, what do you value more? The efficient summary or the immersive journey? The answer you come up with probably says a lot about why any of us bother to learn in the first place. Definitely something to think about.